Driving through the scenic roads of Iceland, a young American couple arrives, ready to enjoy their vacation together. Riley brings along an old camera to capture memories, with his girlfriend Jenny posing happily for the shots. After settling into their hotel room, they embark on a tour of Iceland, exploring active geysers and hot springs. During a dinner, Jenny questions whether they can find film for the old camera. Riley reassures her, declining her offer for a modern camera. He prefers preserving moments with their imperfections intact. Continuing their journey, they visit significant tourist sites, such as a historic church and stunning waterfalls. Returning to the hotel in the evening, they rest. However, in the middle of the night, Jenny awakens and witnesses a bright light briefly illuminating the sky before vanishing. The following morning, they head downstairs for breakfast, but discover the buffet empty and no staff present. Opting for a caf, they step outside to find empty, silent streets. After confirming the time, they speculate if it's a holiday and explore different buildings to no avail. Strangely, every person seems to have vanished from the city except them. In a panic, they search fervently until they admit the truth. They are utterly alone. Attempts to reach relatives via phone prove fruitless. Riley finds news channels and social media silent. They return to the hotel, where Riley verifies the working internet but outdated news sites. Desperate for answers, he checks global security cameras, only to find deserted streets everywhere. Refusing to accept the isolation, Riley insists there must be others. They venture out again, but the outcome remains unchanged. Growing agitated and desperate, Riley notices an abandoned car with an open window, using it to intensify their search. Despite their efforts, they explore the entire city and countryside, yet no one is found. Jenny considers if the apocalypse has finally arrived. Riley encourages her to contact her mother once more, although there's still no response. In moments of surrender, they find solace in having each other's company. Night arrives, leading them back to the hotel. Exhausted and upset, Jenny gets irritable, needing to ask Riley twice to close the blinds. The next morning, Riley awakens early and tries to rouse Jenny, but she remains in a sour mood, refusing to leave the bed. Leaving her be for a while, Riley returns later, and Jenny questions how they'll return home, a query to which Riley lacks an answer. Jenny's homesickness lingers, prompting Riley to attempt making her beloved gingerbread latte. Although not perfect, Jenny appreciates the gesture. Afterwards, they opt to gather supplies from a nearby grocery store. Jenny holds a few items habitually, while Riley adopts a survivalist mindset, pushing carts brimming with groceries. Riley searches for a more spacious vehicle to carry their haul, empowered by their newfound freedom. Returning to the hotel, Riley seizes their bags and proposes an upgrade. The couple embarks on a quest for a comfortable house. Once they discover one they agree on, Riley settles in swiftly. While Jenny wrestles with the simplicity of their situation, they proceed to a clothing store where Jenny initially selects only a few items. Riley reminds her of their circumstances, encouraging them to embrace a carefree approach. Trying on various outfits, they rediscover some joy. Enjoying alcohol, they engage in playful monopoly and spirited banter. During breakfast the next morning, Jenny ponders if they're being tested. In response, Riley asks about her belief in God and destiny. Jenny distinguishes between belief and faith. Riley consoles her, affirming that the world is their playground for now. They drive to the countryside with Jenny's relaxed demeanor leading her to let the wind sweep her shoes away from her feet, Riley chuckling at the sight. Arriving at geothermal pools, they lay a cloth on the grass, snuggling close. As Riley dozes off, Jenny, undeterred, sheds her clothes and gracefully enters the pool. Riley promptly shadows her moves, and before you know it, they're splashing around in the pool, having a blast. After their aqua antics, they snuggle up for a nap, like two cozy koalas in a tree. A few hours later, Jenny rises from slumber's depths and decides to go for a leisurely stroll through the gorgeous fields. Meanwhile, Riley awakens and resumes his quest to snap pictures of her amidst the blossoms, like a relentless flower paparazzo. As night falls, they return to the city, but in the grocery store, Riley transforms into a mischievous child and manages to injure himself, like a bumbling comedian in a slapstick routine. That evening, they scheme up a romantic dinner plan and doll up for the occasion, as if preparing for a red carpet event. But Jenny just can't shake the memory of Riley's grocery store clowning and gives him a piece of her mind. She's worried about safety in this remote place with no doctors or firefighters. Riley, however, thinks she's auditioning for a comedy show and just wants to keep the laughs coming, much to Jenny's annoyance. She storms off in a huff. A short while later, Riley, armed with a bouquet, stumbles upon a sulking Jenny at their abode. Not one to enjoy a grumpy Jenny show, he pledges to be more cautious, as if promising to take a course in clumsiness prevention. Janae starts reminiscing about her beloved book, regretting its absence on their vacation. Riley suggests hunting down another copy, but she's as determined as a detective on a case. That book, a gift from her father, holds her life's greatest hits, including when she spilled the beans about loving Riley. Riley grins and tells her they've got everything they require, each other, and a stunning backdrop. The rest, they can improvise. Still, Janae's got home sweet home on her mind, but it's not on the menu. After more misadventures and debates, they return home, only to find that their tap has turned into a tap-dancing champion. It's not working. Riley eating the wrong yogurt is like starting a food fight in their argument. Janae insists on food preservation, while Riley's pitching a reality show called Survivor, Backyard Edition. Later on, Riley takes a solo dip in the pool, while Janae embarks on a quest to decipher some bizarre hieroglyphics on a statue at a church during yet another escapade outside the city. She chats with the statue, hoping it's the town's secret stand-up comedian. During a different adventure, they stumble upon some hot springs. Riley asks Janae to eavesdrop on Mother Earth's heartbeat and confesses his love for Iceland. Later on, they arrive at a shoreline with rocks formed by volcanic activity. Riley has the urge to recount a legend about trolls, but Janae, being pragmatic, swiftly points out their shortage of drinking water. Their subsequent destination leads them to an abandoned airplane's fuselage. Riley initiates a fervent photography session due to his admiration for its beauty. This triggers a strong reaction from Janae. To her, it's nothing more than a heap of outdated debris that has served its purpose. She even vocally scolds Riley for assuming he can change their surroundings to magically improve her mood. Now utterly bewildered, Riley seeks guidance from Janae. Her response is concise. She advises him to grasp the reality and not live in a fantasy world, and she drives away, leaving Riley to catch some sleep within the aircraft. During the night, Janae settles down to sleep in the car, stationed in a remote location. Come morning, she returns to check on Riley in the plane. Upon his awakening, they exchange no words. Janae offers him a drink before they journey back to the city together. For the rest of the day, Riley roams on foot, exploring the town and capturing photographs of every piece of graffiti and public artwork he stumbles upon. However, one particular piece with eerie eyes startles him greatly, leading him to discard the film. Meanwhile, Janae is engrossed in her laptop, scrolling through its content. Her aim is to connect with people, though her endeavors bear little fruit. Later on, Janae decides to visit a church for prayers, while Riley embarks on a shopping spree to gather materials for an eccentric project he has brewing. As Riley enters an elevator, the doors unexpectedly shut, momentarily making him feel like he's been captured by an elevator mafia. Fortunately, they reopen, liberating him. Upon arriving home, Riley doesn't find Janae there, so he fills his time by constructing some whimsical devices. Meanwhile, Janae indulges in the outdoors, finding joy in the presence of horses. It marks the first encounter with life she's had in quite some time. At some juncture, the couple resumes their journey, with Janae as the designated driver. She listens to old voicemail messages in an attempt to recall the voices of her loved ones. After passing by glaciers, they exit the car to explore their surroundings, even sitting on a glacier to converse. Janae engages in philosophical contemplation, likening nature's tendency to rejuvenate to an enthusiastic spring cleaning, suggesting that perhaps God was impatient in this analogy. Conversely, Riley is firmly anchored in a positive outlook. He maintains his belief that the future remains unknown, and he remains resolute in not abandoning their relationship, even if it's as fickle and unpredictable. Afterward, the couple returns to the city, and Janae discovers a place to develop their photos. She also comes across a flower shop, but her excitement quickly fades as she realizes all the flowers have withered away. Riley, always looking on the bright side, convinces her that they should look for flowers somewhere else, emphasizing the need for a change of scenery. Eventually, they come across a lakeside cabin that's equipped with a fireplace they're eager to use. Riley takes the responsibility of gathering firewood. However, as he ventures into the forest, he's taken aback when he encounters another person, a guy named Nils. Nils doesn't seem to be in the best condition, and the couple generously shares their supplies with him before inviting him inside. Nils confirms he hasn't encountered anyone else recently, and reveals he left the city because, well, if the world is going to end, he wants a front row seat for the finale. While chatting, Nils can't stop coughing, which frustrates Riley as he tries to encourage Nils to stay positive. Janae expresses her gratitude for finding Nils, but regardless of their words, Nils appears to have come to terms with his fate, much to Riley's irritation. Later, in the middle of the night, while Riley is asleep, Janae sits by the fireplace and opens up to Nils about their vacation and how much she misses home. In return, Nils shares about his own family, who became distant because of his commitment to a life at sea. He even mentions the Welsh term hiraeth, which describes the sorrow for a home that can never be revisited or perhaps never even existed. Janae starts to question if they've been abandoned by God, while Nils holds a more nihilistic view of life. The following morning, Riley jolts Janae awake with grim news. Nils has passed away in his sleep. Janae goes inside to confirm while Riley heads outside to dig a hole for Nils. When Janae joins Riley outside, she drops a bombshell. She doesn't see the purpose in burying Nils, sparking another argument about whether they should focus on finding more people or simply on their own survival. Riley insists they've thoroughly searched the area, but Janae believes their efforts have been about as effective as a screen door on a submarine. Back in the city, Janae grabs duct tape and starts marking abandoned houses. Riley, however, interjects, explaining that this isn't a search and rescue mission, rather, it's like labeling the departed. He even pleads with her to return home. Janae firmly states that this place isn't their home. This sparks another argument, and while Riley senses Janae's longing for answers from the stars, he believes it's a fruitless pursuit as they're powerless to alter their situation. He tries to convince Janae that they can still create a meaningful life together. However, Janae admits that she's lost her grasp on the concept. After some time, Riley finishes constructing a windmill and makes another effort with Janae. He leads her to a river and encourages her to remember the glacier they once sat on. He explains that the water flowing from that glacier feeds the river they're standing by. His point is to remind Janae that life persists. This poignant moment leads to a heartfelt embrace and a genuine kiss between them. Later, during dinner, they share the last of their water. While washing the dishes, Janae's laptop receives an email. She hurries to it, her excitement palpable. Yet, upon opening the email, she's confronted with disappointment, a simple photo from Riley. Overwhelmed, she comes to terms with the reality that they are alone in this ordeal. The following morning, Riley discovers a large white envelope addressed to him. After activating the water pump he constructed, he opens the envelope to find the developed photos. However, upon seeing Janae's expression in the pictures, worry takes over him. Swiftly, he leaves the house, launching a search for her. Eventually, he locates Janae's car parked near the geothermal pool. As he approaches, his heart breaks at the sight of her motionless body floating in the water. Overwhelmed by the circumstances, she chose to end her struggle. Riley plunges into the pool and retrieves Janae's body, but it's too late. He contemplates following her path, yet his survival instincts take precedence. Riley clings to Janae, tears streaming down his face. Once his emotions subside, he faces the agonizing choice to move forward, leaving Janae behind. He returns to his car and drives away, uncertain of what the future holds now that he is genuinely alone. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe Mango Recap for more video like this and help the channel grow.